Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sonika Sharma from Shahid Bhagat Singh College, University of Delhi. I extend a warm welcome to all the students watching today's lecture. I shall be covering the topic book building in this lecture. Now, whenever a company comes out with an IPO, it can be priced either by fixed price method or book building method or a combination of these two. Thus, book building is a method of pricing public issue of securities. In this, the price of securities is determined by issuing company in consultation with book running lead manager. According to SEBI Guidelines 2000, book building is a process undertaken by which demand for securities proposed to be issued by a company, by a body corporate is elicited and built up, and the price for such securities is assessed for the determination of the quantum of such securities to be issued by the company. It is done by means of a notice, a circular, an advertisement, a document or information memorandum or an offer document. In other words, book building is a process by which shares are offered at a price which is based on the bids received by the company. Investors place their bids at different prices and ultimately the price and quantum which has maximum demand is the one which is selected. Now, there are various advantages of this book building process. First one is lower cost of the issue. The issuer saves a lot of brokerage and advertising because of book building. Then second is price is more realistic as it is determined by taking into consideration the demand for securities. So, the price which comes out as a result of the whole exercise of undertaking book building is much more realistic as compared to the fixed price method, because this price has been determined after taking into consideration the demand for the securities. Then the third advantage of book building is that there is no risk of failure, as the issuer company can withdraw from the market if the demand does not exist. In fact, this is a very important advantage of book building, that the issuer company, if it feels that there is no demand for the securities, then it may not launch a complete issue and it will withdraw from the market. But this advantage was not available as far as fixed price method was concerned. So, this is one big USP of this particular method. Now, the last one is faster. It is faster as compared to the fixed price method. Now, the investors which are involved in book building method, there are three types of investors. First is retail individual investors, the second is non-institutional investors, and the third is qualified institutional buyers. When it comes to retail individual investors, they include individual investors, Hindu undivided family, etc., whose investment in the company does not exceed rupees 2 lakh. So, it can include individuals also, HUFs also, but the requirement is that their investment in the company should not exceed rupees 2 lakh. Then the second category of investors is non-institutional investors. It includes high net worth individuals, means individuals only, but those who have high net worth. Why it is called high net worth individuals? Because these are the individuals which are investing in the company and for often an amount which exceeds rupees 2 lakh. Therefore, they are known as high net worth individuals. Hindu undivided family also is included in this category if they are investing an amount more than 2 lakh rupees in the company. Then corporate bodies, etc., are also included, but the requirement is that their investment should exceed rupees 2 lakhs. Then the last category, the third one, and which is a big one, is qualified institutional buyers. They include financial institutions, banks, foreign institutional investors and mutual funds who are registered with the SEBI, and they usually apply in very high quantities. Now, we come to the process of book building. The company appoints a merchant banker. This is the first step in book building. The company appoints a merchant banker as a book running lead manager or book runner in short. Then the company issues a draft red herring prospectus. Now, why it is known as red herring prospectus? Why a red herring prospectus? A red herring prospectus is a prospectus which is like a normal prospectus with all the details of a normal prospectus, but with the difference that in the red herring prospectus, the price at which securities are to be issued is not mentioned. Basically, red herring prospectus is something which is issued in the process of book building only. So, the company issues a draft red herring prospectus, means it is not a final prospectus. It is sent to corporate and institutional investors to know the demand for shares of the company. Then after the draft red herring prospectus, a final red herring prospectus is issued. It is prepared by the company, containing price band, consisting of floor price, consisting of ceiling price. All these are mentioned in the final red herring prospectus. Then all the disclosures of the prospectus has all the disclosures, and it is submitted to SEBI also, and SEBI can suggest changes in that draft prospectus within 21 days of the receipt, and the lead manager has to include those changes as suggested by SEBI in the final prospectus. After the draft is issued, then after the suggestions by SEBI, if any, are incorporated, then the final red herring prospectus is issued by the company. Now, the floor price and the ceiling price which is mentioned in the prospectus, floor price cannot be less than the face value of shares. The ceiling price while shall not be more than 20% of the floor price. So, in fact, there is a price band consisting of a floor price and a ceiling price. Say, for example, a price band of between 10 to 14 rupees. This price band can be issued, can be mentioned in the red herring prospectus. In this, while determining the price band, the company has to see that the ceiling price shall not be more than 20% of the floor price, while the ceiling price has to be at least 5% of the floor price. So, there is a minimum limit of 5% of the floor price and the maximum of 20% of the floor price, and the bidder has to bid within this particular band. He cannot bid any otherwise, he has to bid within this band, for example, which is of between 10 to 12 rupees. Okay, the bidder has to bid within this particular band. Then after the final red herring prospectus is prepared containing the price band, filing of red herring prospectus with SEBI and registrar of companies is done at least 3 days before the opening of the issue. Then only retail investors can bid at the cut-off price. Once the prospectus has been issued, it has been filed with SEBI and registrar, and it goes to the investors, then only retail investors have the right to bid at the cut-off price. The cut-off price is the price which will be decided by the company based on the bids later on. Okay. So, investors have the option, he will choose the option cut-off price while bidding. There is an option which will come in his form which will say cut-off price while bidding, and he can choose that option. It means that whatever the cut-off price he is willing to pay that price. He shall be paying the highest amount at the time of bidding, and the difference shall be returned to him later on when the cut-off price is determined. So, in fact, only the retail investors have this right to bid at the cut-off price. Otherwise, no other investor has the right to bid at the cut-off price. They have to mention some price at which they will be buying the securities from the company, and also the number of securities that everybody has to mention, the number of securities which that person will be buying from the company. Then the next step is the book runner appoints syndicate members like stockbrokers, merchant bankers, etc., who act as interface between the company and the investor. So, it is the job of the book runner to appoint syndicate members like stockbrokers, merchant bankers, through whom the investors will be dealing with the company. Then the book runner along with syndicate members undertakes awareness campaigns to create a demand for the issue. The advertising of the issue, making awareness campaigns, road shows, all this is taken up by the book runner only. Then the next step is registered brokers appointed by syndicate members accept application cum bidding form and also application money. So, registered brokers accept the application form from the investor and also the application money. Then self-certified syndicate banks accept applications supported by blocked amount from the investor. What is application supported by blocked amount? A self-certified application supported by blocked amount means that when the shareholders give the when the prospective shareholders give the application, make the bid, then a certain amount for which they will be buying the shares later on has to be blocked from their account, from their bank account. And though they will continue to get interest on that amount till the amount is finally deducted from their account, but still they cannot use that blocked amount for any purpose, any other purpose. So, this is what is the meaning of application supported by blocked amount. So, a self-certified syndicate bank is the bank which has been recognized as being capable of providing service of ASBA, which is application supported by blocked amount, to its customers. A list of such banks is available on the website of SEBI. Applications supported by blocked amount means that the amount of application money will be debited from the account of the investor only when the basis of allotment has been finalized. Till then, the investor will continue to receive interest on the amount. Applications supported by blocked amount ASBA has been made mandatory by SEBI from 2016. So, anybody who applies to the company who makes a bid has to give an application supported by blocked amount. It is a mandatory requirement for all the investors in the company. Now, the IPO remains open for a period of 3 to 7 days and can be extended up to 3 days if the price band is revised. The bidding is done electronically through the facility provided by the stock exchanges. And on the basis of the bids received from the investor, the book runner prepares an order book showing demand for shares at various prices. It is the maximum price at which all the securities offered by the company will be sold out. That is the price which is decided by the company as the issue price of securities. And this is also known as cut-off price or market clearing price, meaning thereby that all the securities which are offered by the company will be cleared, will be sold at this particular price. That is why it is known as the market clearing price. Next, the final prospectus. After the as I told you, initially the red herring prospectus was issued, then the final prospectus is filed with the registrar within 2 days of determination of the issue price. After the issue price is determined, within 2 days of that, a final prospectus is to be filed with the registrar of companies. As I told you that the final prospectus or the normal prospectus contains the price at which the securities are going to be issued by the company. So, once the price is determined, within 2 days of that, the final prospectus is to be filed with the registrar of companies. And then normally allotment of shares is done within 15 days of the close of the issue. Once the issue closes, within next 15 days the shares are allotted by the company to all those who have applied and all those who are falling within the cut-off price as determined by the company. Then there are 2 types of book building. One is 100% book building and the other one is 75% book building. In case of 100% book building, the whole offer is through book building only. Allotment procedure in case of 100% book building is like maximum 60% shares are allotted to institutional investors. Like I told you earlier, there are 3 categories of investors. So, 60% are allotted to institutional investors, at least 15% shares should be allotted on proportionate basis to non-institutional investors, at least 35% of shares would be allotted to retail individual investors. So, this is how the entire issue of shares by the company is to be allocated or allotted to various categories, the 3 categories which I mentioned earlier. So, 60% is the maximum that can be given to institutional investors, means your qualified institutional buyers, QIBs, which I just told you in the beginning of the lecture, and at least 50% should be allotted to non-institutional investors, and at least 35% of shares would be allotted to retail individual investors. But in case the company which is not having profit in the past 3 years, only 10% should be allotted to retail individual investors. The reason being, if a company has not been earning sufficient profits in the past year, then for the reason of safeguarding the interest of retail investors who are small investors, there is a limit of 10% beyond which the company cannot allot shares to them. The next is 75% book building. In case of 75% book building, as the name itself suggests, 75% of the shares are offered through book building process, and the remaining 25% are issued to public at a price fixed through book building process. So 75% are done through book building, then price of the securities is determined through book building only, while the remaining 25% of the securities are offered to general public at a price which is fixed by the process of book building. So first the book building process is undertaken, securities are allotted to those who have applied under book building. Then after that, for the remaining 25% of the public, the price fixed by the book building is used and securities are offered to them at that particular price, fixed price. The 75% portion is termed as placement portion category. In this method, the issuer company needs to open 2 separate bank accounts for collection of application money, one for the private placement portion and the other for public subscription. So 2 separate bank accounts have to be opened by the issuer company. The placement portion is closed a day before the opening of the public issue through fixed price method. So placement portion, of course, as I already told you, closes a day before the opening of the public issue through fixed price method. Then there is another thing which is reverse book building. Now book building is the process, book building process is used to issue shares. If the company wants to buy back shares, it can fix the buyback price through reverse book building process. So basically reverse book building and book building both are carried out the same way, but the difference is that book building is used in case of issue of shares, means when the company wants to know at what price the prospective investors will be willing to buy the shares of the company, then it resorts to book building. And if the company wants to buy back shares from the market, for carrying out the process, for knowing at what price the shareholders are willing to sell the shares, it can go in for reverse book building. The method is basically the same. The name is reverse book building because herein the shares will be bought back from the shareholders whom the shares have already been sold by the company. That is why the name reverse book building. Now in this case, offers are collected from the shareholders at various prices at which they want to sell their shares. Buyback price is determined after the offer closing date, and final offer price will be price at which maximum number of shares are offered. By the maximum number of shares are offered, the number of shares which the company wants to buy back, the price at which all the shares are covered, that will be the price that will be decided by the company after carrying out the process of reverse book building. So again, book building is a better method, reverse book building, to buy back shares from the company instead of going in for a fixed price method, because herein again the company is able to get the feel of how much at what price the shareholders of the company want to sell their shares back to the company. In fact, this is all I have for you as far as book building is concerned. Let me just once again recapitulate the main points. We started a discussion with the book building, which is a method of pricing the IPOs, the initial public offer, and herein red herring prospectus is issued by the company, and the various categories of prospective investor bid. The price, a price band is mentioned in the red herring prospectus, and within that price band they have to make a bid of how many shares they want to buy and at what price. The bidding is a book is prepared by lead manager, the book runner, and finally market clearing price is decided by the company. And it has various advantages, like it offers lower cost, prices are more realistic, there is no risk of failure of the issue, and it is also faster as compared to the fixed price method. There are various requirements also that have to be met. Lead book runner has to be appointed, but only retail investors can actually bid on the cut-off price, whereas all the other investors have to mention a price at which they will be buying the securities from the company. So, after the book is made, the final price is decided, and this particular IPO remains open for a period of 3 to 7 days and can be extended up to 3 more days if the price band is revised. So, this is how the book building process actually works, and the allotment of shares is finally done within 15 days of the close of the issue. And then there is 2 types of book building. 100% book building means all the shares are issued in the IPO via book building process only, and 75% of book building, wherein 75% of the shares are issued via process of book building, while the remaining 25% of shares are issued by the company at a price fixed by the book building method. So, this is about the types of book building. And then we have reverse book building, which is resorted to by the company when it wants to buy back its shares from the market. So, this is all, and with this I come to the end of this lecture. I hope you have been able to understand book building process thoroughly now. So, keep reading, keep learning. Thank you.